Have you ever had the feeling that life suddenly lost its meaning? The goals you pursued, the people you relied on, and even the routines you once found comforting, all seem to have lost their significance. But I want you to know, this isn't a crisis. It's an awakening. It's a moment when Allah gently calls you to pause and reflect, inviting you to realign your life with purpose, clarity, and His infinite wisdom. Today, we will explore 5 valuable lessons that can strengthen your connection with Allah and guide you through life's challenges. Number 1. The awakening of purpose. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, is this all there is to life? While that question may seem unsettling, it often marks the start of something deeper. It's Allah's call to you to reflect, to seek, and to rediscover your true purpose. Think about it. How often do we pursue worldly ambitions, only to feel empty once we achieve them? A better job, a larger house, or more recognition, and yet the emptiness remains. This feeling isn't a curse. It's a reminder from Allah that your soul was meant for more than just this world. It was created for something much greater. Now let me ask you, when was the last time you opened the Quran? Not just to read, but to truly reflect on its guidance. When did you last find comfort in dhikr, whispering astaghfirullah for the countless times we've strayed? These aren't just rituals. They are lifelines, pulling us closer to the very purpose we were created for. The Quran beautifully says, "And I did not create the jinn and mankind, except to worship me." Surah Ad-Dariyat 51-56. When you realign your life with this purpose, everything begins to make sense. The trials, the setbacks, even the loneliness, they're not random. They're the steps Allah is using to bring you back to Him. My brothers and sisters, ask yourself, are you ready to embrace this awakening? Because when you do, you'll start to see life's struggles not as burdens, but as pathways to something far greater. Number 2. The beauty of surrender. There comes a time in everyone's journey when the weight of expectations, failures, and constant striving becomes unbearable. It feels like no matter how much you try, something is always missing. This is the moment when surrendering to Allah becomes not just a choice, but a necessity. Now, surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of the illusion that you are in control of everything. Think about it. How often do we stress over things that are entirely beyond our grasp? Relationships, careers, the future. It's all in Allah's hands. Take a moment and reflect. When was the last time you made dua? Not asking Allah to change your situation, but asking Him to change you? To give you patience, strength, and trust in His plan. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us, indeed, Allah does not look at your appearance or wealth, but He looks at your hearts and actions. And yet, how often do we chase appearances and material gain, neglecting the condition of our hearts? My dear brothers and sisters, this dunya was never meant to be perfect. It's a test, a temporary stop on the way to our true home. Surrendering to Allah doesn't just free you from stress. It fills your heart with peace. Think about it. The next time you're overwhelmed, instead of asking, "Why me?" try asking, "Ya Allah, what are you teaching me through this?" This shift in mindset transforms pain into purpose, confusion into clarity. So, ask yourself, are you ready to surrender and trust that Allah's plan is far better than anything you could ever imagine? Number 3. The silent power of patience. In a world where everything is about instant gratification, patience feels like a lost art. Yet, it's one of the most profound lessons Allah teaches us through life's tests. Think about this. How often do we find ourselves frustrated when things don't happen on our timeline? A job opportunity missed, a relationship not working out, or a dream delayed. But here's the truth. Allah's timing is always perfect. Let's pause for a moment. Imagine planting a seed. You water it, nurture it, but it doesn't sprout overnight. Does that mean it's not growing? Beneath the surface, roots are forming, preparing for a strong foundation. Similarly, when life feels stagnant, it's often because Allah is preparing you for something greater. The Quran beautifully reminds us, indeed, with hardship comes ease. This is not just a promise, it's a reality we've all witnessed. Think back to a time when you faced a hardship that seemed impossible to overcome. Didn't Allah open a door you couldn't have imagined? Patience isn't about waiting, it's about trusting. Now let me ask you, when was the last time you truly reflected on the wisdom behind your struggles? Maybe that delayed success was protecting you from harm. Perhaps that failed relationship was making space for something better. Every no from Allah is a redirection, not a rejection. Patience isn't passive, it's active faith in Allah's plan. So, the next time you're tempted to rush into something or question why things aren't going your way, pause. Remind yourself that even in waiting, Allah is working. Number 4. Letting go to let Allah work. One of the hardest lessons we face is learning to let go of control, expectations, and the weight of our own plans. We hold on so tightly to how we think things should go, don't we? Whether it's a relationship, a career goal, or even how we imagine our future, letting go feels like losing. But in reality, it's the first step toward peace. Here's a question for you. Have you ever noticed how much lighter you feel after finally surrendering something that's been weighing on your heart? That's not a coincidence. It's Allah reminding you that His plan is better than anything you could ever design for yourself. And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. This is not just a verse, it's a lifeline. Think about the story of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. When he was commanded to leave his family in the barren desert of Makkah, he didn't question Allah's wisdom. He trusted. And what happened? From that barren land, the blessed Zamzam water sprang forth, and Makkah became a center of spirituality for the entire world. Now, bring this closer to your own life. What are you holding on to that might be holding you back? Maybe it's a toxic relationship you're afraid to leave, or a plan that isn't aligning with your reality. Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It means you're making space for Allah's wisdom to guide you. So take a moment and reflect. Are you trusting Allah enough to let Him write your story? Or are you still gripping the pen, trying to force your version of the ending? Let go. Let Allah work. Number 5. The wisdom in unanswered prayers. My dear brothers and sisters, have you ever found yourself frustrated, wondering why a heartfelt dua hasn't been answered? It's a struggle many of us face, a moment where doubt creeps in, whispering, "Is Allah even listening?" But here's the truth. Sometimes what feels like an unanswered prayer is actually a profound blessing in disguise. Think about this. You might be asking Allah for something you deeply desire, a job, a relationship, a goal. But what if what you're asking for would lead to harm you cannot foresee? Allah, in His infinite wisdom, shields you from it. He tells us in the Quran, "But perhaps you hate a thing, and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing, and it is bad for you, and Allah knows, while you know not." Consider the story of Prophet Yusuf, alayhi salam. He prayed for freedom when he was imprisoned unjustly, but Allah had a greater plan. That delay wasn't a denial. It was the preparation for something far greater, his rise to power and the saving of an entire nation. The delay was the setup for ultimate success. In our daily lives, it's hard to see the bigger picture when we're in the thick of disappointment. But remember this, every dua is heard. Allah may answer it in one of 3 ways. He may give you what you ask for, replace it with something better, or store it as a reward for you in the hereafter. Isn't that a comforting thought? So, Instead of despairing over what seems unanswered, ask yourself, what could Allah be protecting me from? What greater good could He be preparing me for? This shift in perspective turns frustration into gratitude and deepens your trust in Allah's plan. My dear brothers and sisters, as we conclude, remember that this journey we're on has purpose. Every challenge, every unanswered prayer, and every moment of silence from those around us is all part of a larger plan. Allah is not ignoring you. He is preparing you for something greater, something that only your heart and faith can carry. If this message has touched you, I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments. You might begin with a dua, like, Ya Allah, guide me through the unseen wisdom in my life. Let it serve as a reminder to you and others that true faith means trusting in Allah's plan, even when it's not clear. If you're interested in learning more about how Allah shapes our lives in ways we often fail to recognize, click on the video now showing on your screen. It explores how Allah's love and guidance appear in unexpected ways. Until we meet again, may Allah bless you and keep your heart firm in faith.